Hi, welcome to my channel, and more specifically, my astrologer series. My name's Heather, and I'm a character designer for animation. Today, I'm working on a mouse character, as you can see. For some context, if you're new, a while back, I took a CGMA course where we had to design some characters for one of Aesop's fables, and I never finished the whole lineup. So I thought it'd be fun to slowly pick away at the rest of the characters and record some of the process. It helps keep me motivated. This is the sketch that I had for the mouse way back when. Great base. I toyed with the idea of him being an alchemist or a wizard based solely on the cloak that I initially had him in, but I didn't like that, so I thought about some other medieval era professions. My top picks ended up being a blacksmith or a baker, and while I felt a blacksmith was very cute, the thought of a baker carrying like big loaves of bread and a big wooden paddle thing, I just liked that a lot more. I thought it was pretty cute, and that's the direction that I end up going in. I make some odd choices as I'm lining and later coloring, but everything works out in the end. I'll point certain things out as they come up if I've left them in. Like this ear shouldn't be interrupted by the cheek like that, but that's not something that I fix until much later. Sometimes I just need to take a step back from the screen, and that helps me notice things that I kind of became blind to. Let's talk about the physical traits and proportions as well as costume elements that I wanted to explore with these. He's a mouse, so big ears are obviously an important characteristic. There are so many ways that they can be drawn. I wanted to cover a variety of shapes and sizes so that each mouse had something different going on, but I also didn't want to go too crazy with them. And I think I struck a good balance in the end. Let it be known that I did draw a lot of these curves with ease in Procreate. I just find this brush to be challenging. I can't get the exact line I want, so sometimes I have to draw it like 20 times. I don't love that for me, so I'm no stranger to the occasional warp, liquefy, or distort. It's a tool, and it's going to save me my peace of mind. I also wanted the tails to be simple lines that I would color with like a bit of gray and pink. This isn't being translated into 3D, so I'm not worried about whether or not this would actually work, but I like how it looks in the context of my 2D artwork. I bring in a pose of my hedgehog character for reference because I couldn't remember how I was styling the underside of the feet. I know that rodents and hedgehogs don't have paws like cats and dogs do, but everyone's getting cute toes in this world. I want them to have little paw pads unless they have hooves or they're wearing boots, and then obviously different story. For the eyes, after sketching out the mice and the wolf, who some of you may have seen on my Instagram stories, I am no closer to deciding on dot eyes or regular ones. I thought it would get easier as I drew more characters, but I feel no more certain about what direction I want to go in. The dots have a certain charm to them that the others don't have, but the round ones are a lot more expressive and have the added benefit of very obvious eye direction. I feel like when I'm using the dot eyes, I have to physically turn the character more to really emphasize what direction they're looking in or like what they're connecting with. So that's something that I have to weigh in my mind. Other than that, I needed him to have a pointy little nose and centrally condensed features because I wanted him to be classically cute, if that makes sense. As for the fit, I knew that I wanted aprons, either full or half length, and some big bows. I really like the idea of elements of his outfit being oversized in some way to accentuate his smallness. Lots of wide-legged pants, big sleeve cuffs, big and bouncy chef hats that kind of mimic a dough or bread loaf shape. I thought that would be fun. Yeah, same idea with his props. Most of the spoons, bread peels, the wooden paddles. Yeah, I don't like how that sounds either. And the loaves of bread are all on the larger side and would require some full body movement for him to use and interact with. I like how all of these things come together and make it easy to visualize how he'd animate. And speaking of, that's why I only gave him boots in one of the drawings. I thought he'd be more interesting barefooted because of the posing options, and he'd have a more mouse-like run, cycle, jump, so on. Not that I'm doing any of that, but I like that I can see it. The general roundness and three-dimensionality of this character isn't specific to him alone, but it applies to everything in this world. You can see as I'm drawing that I'm giving everything a very chunky quality. Flats. Okay, so here I'm getting the base layer down for each of these characters. I like to fill them in black first so that I'm getting a little silhouette test in at the same time. With everything blacked out, I can better focus on how my shapes are looking and if my poses are reading clearly. Most of these are looking pretty good, but the top, middle, and bottom left had some areas that could be improved a little bit. I thought the collar for this one wasn't quite strong enough, so I just bumped it out a little bit further so it looks more intentional. And I also made a little bit more room between the ear and his arm in this upright position. I think having that slight gap makes the overlap read a little bit better. For this one on the bottom, I didn't like how the end of the spoon was overlapping the bottom of the apron, and it was an easy enough fix. I just scooched the end up a bit and redrew what I needed, and I think it reads a lot better. You saw the thumbnail. I picked cute colors in the end, but sometimes you have to second guess yourself, make a questionable decision, or 6, because there are 6 mice, and go on a multi-hour detour and finally end up doing what you should have done in the first place. My gut told me that these mice should be white and wearing pastels, carrying brown wooden sticks and brown bread. They would stand out against the rest of the characters that I've drawn already. Keep in mind that I already have a lot of cream tones, ochres, deep blues, and some deep greens. So having these spring colors would diversify things a bit and just fit this character description pretty well. So of course, I decided that a pastel baker is too obvious of a choice and that I should do something different. I spent hours trying to make dark gray, brown, and cream mice work. All the colors I've already used in my lineup to date, plus some brown mice whose palettes I had to fight with to not have them blend into their props. I had brown on brown on brown for a couple of them because of the bread and the wood. Yeah, I spent way too long on that. Went down a bit of a spiral, but thankfully I came around and I couldn't be happier with the result. Once I was back on track, some things that I kept in mind were 1, using colors that fit in the world I've been creating and that would look good with the other characters. 2, giving him a palette that is unique to him. Even if I've used blue on other characters, which I have, it was okay to use blue again, but it needed to be a very different shade. So instead of like those deep dark blues, it could be a baby blue, sky blue, aqua, whatever. And 3, being wary of my tones. Working with white and light pastels meant that I really had to pay extra attention to value. It's really easy for everything to collapse into the same tone. At least for me, I find that it's very easy for that to happen. I was constantly flipping between grayscale and color just to make sure that each character had enough contrast between the different like articles of clothing and whatever. I didn't want these components to blend together. The wooden spoons and baker's peels all have a thickness to them, and the inner lines that I draw help to emphasize that. And when I was drawing the bread, I was thinking of all those those toy like kids play bread that's really squishy up top and flat on the bottom, or maybe it's solid, I don't know, but I like that domed shape. It's just so appealing. Even like animation bread always had a very nice look to it. I'm a fan, and I was excited to draw my own. I know I didn't nail all of them, but I did pay extra attention to my hands to make it look like they're really holding things properly. I find getting the right angle for the palm and then wrapping the fingers around an object to be quite challenging sometimes. And I also wish I did a better job on some of the sleeve cuffs. There are certain forms that I tend to have a hard time with, and it's honestly like hard dealing with that sometimes. There are some basic concepts that I don't have down, and I get really self-conscious about it. Like, after all these years, I really shouldn't be messing up some of the stuff that I mess up. And I watch other people's videos and I don't see them dealing with the same issues that I deal with. And maybe they're cutting that stuff out. Who knows? I would like to think that it would make me feel a bit better. Yeah, that's why I'm never going to be making videos that like teach you how to draw, because it's hard. I will share my process, the tips and tricks that have worked for me, and you can take away whatever you want from the content that I put out. Shading. Same shading treatment as I showed in my pig video, but this time I did separate my flats into different layers with clipping masks, and I'm also shading on separate layers for the most part. This way I can change the color of my base and shading layers very easily at any point in time. This method was a bit overkill for some of these, but after that color palette ordeal, I wanted to make life easy for myself just in case I did a 180 with my colors again. I'm alternating between 2 brushes as I shade, Kyle Webster's Gouache A Go-Go Tilt, and forgive my pronunciation, but Aufgenommener Pinsel 1-2. I'm giving you the specific name just so that you can search it in the brush pack if you do want to look at that. I got Kyle's brush in the Megapack set that I bought years ago, but it might be integrated into Photoshop's like new brush library at this point. And I linked to the latter in my pick video, but I'll try to remember to pop it down below again. You'll notice that I'm using a larger brush size with a softer hand when I'm covering big areas. I want to prioritize building up nice texture and soft shadows. I can always work my way darker if need be. And I really like the textures that both of these brushes have. I find that the gouache one has a little bit of a canvas kind of thing going on for it. And then the other one, it's, I don't know, I just like how it looks. You can see. Another thing worth noting is that I like sneaking in slightly more saturated strokes into my shadows because it keeps the color from feeling too uniform. I don't have a super technical reason for it. I'm not much of a painter, but I just know that a little bit of color jitter in the shadows, or honestly a little bit of color jitter anywhere, just makes things feel a little bit more alive and less stiff. The black line art have been throwing me off a little bit this whole time because of the contrast between it and the light colors that I've been using. So sometimes I ended up coloring my lines a little bit sooner. There are moments where I was enjoying a color palette and shading, but it didn't fully click until I got the gray body lines on and was able to see that it was gonna work. Just like I do when I'm shading, I like to vary up the colors in my line art as well, just so that it breaks up the uniformity a bit. Somewhere along the way, I changed this mouse's ear and it makes so much more sense. I don't know why. I think I was like set on the specific shape and I forgot how ears work and like where they, anyway. I don't have much else to say about this one, but I did love shading the bread. I'd been looking forward to that since I started this shading stage. And the same goes for the upturned foot. I love a good chunky shadow that helps define a clear shape and a plane change. It's just, it's nice. I like it. I've been having a great time with the characters in this project. Don't get me wrong, there were absolutely moments where I was having a bad time. But I knew that if I could push through whatever roadblocks I was dealing with, that it'd be so worth it and I would end up with something I'm really happy with. And I did. So yay, I've learned a lot. I'm glad for that. During the drawing process, I'd sometimes be thinking about what talking points I could have for this video. And I was sketching these mice the same day or the day after I sketched the wolves. And for the wolves, I was thinking, you know, this has been a great learning experience because I have a hard time with big, strong characters. And then I'm working on these mice and I'm thinking the exact same thing about small, cute characters. And same went for my cat girl poses and all the drapery and about chubby characters when I was working on the pig. So I think that I just find drawing to be hard, but I love the journey very much. If the journey wanted to be like a little less tough sometimes, I would not protest, but I'd rather always have a critical eye with my own work than to become complacent and stop growing. Another reason why I think I'm enjoying these so much is that I really love talking animal characters and cutesy anthros so much as a kid. That's by no means a unique interest, I know that, but I was just such a big animal kid, and if you put them in a book or a show and in clothes, yes. Especially the British stuff. My dad's from England and Narnia, Rupert, so on were some pretty big staples. I was also very obsessed with calico critters or Slovenian families. I wish I was able to look through my old toys just to see like what ones I had. They were so cute and there are so many cute new ones and I don't need them, I don't, but I love them and some people even make custom ones. I saw this bat family that someone altered and oh my gosh, just so cute. I want them. Anyway, I digress. Oh, I changed this one's outfit at some point. Originally, he just had an apron and like no pants, but the color balance wasn't working for me. And I like the look of the pants more. It's not like these characters all have to wear clothes. However, I am noticing that they all are, except the hedgehog just has like a little cloak and then it's fine, it's fine. I can picture how these pants would flutter. Maybe that's not the right word, but I can picture how they'd look when he's in motion and I think they'd be very cute, very airy and like billowy. Maybe that's the word to go for. Oh, and I don't want to forget to mention this. Another really subtle thing that I've been doing is letting colors reflect into each other a bit. Even with a really light hand, it adds so much. So I'll bounce a hint of the bow color into the pants or the shirt So on the pants into the apron, spoon into the hand, you get it, like neighboring colors. And if my source color is too dark, then I'll brighten it a little bit. Whatever makes sense and looks good. Just ties everything together so nicely. And if I had more of a ground situation, environment going on, I would also reflect that into things to help ground the character. I was so excited to color this bread pile. The shading is so simple, but I really like how it looks. In hindsight, maybe I could have added a little bit of highlights, but I don't think I've been doing much highlighting in these. Yeah, I took a peek, just in shadows, so we're good. I was so excited to add the flour and like other baking stains to these aprons. I could have done it one by one as I was completing them, but I thought saving it until the end would be more of a reward for me. The cherry on top, you know? So yeah, I like adding these little details, dirt, scuff, stray hairs, whatever. They make characters feel a lot more real and like they've been living because they're real. And we're all done. So here are all of my little mice. There are a couple I'm gravitating more towards, but I do like all of them. I think the top right might be the weakest. He's very cute, don't get me wrong. I think he just looks like he's more ready for an adventure than he is to start baking. That said, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully my wolf video will be up in a couple of weeks. I do have a cafe sketching video from December that's maybe 75% done, but I kind of hate the drawings, so I haven't touched it since then. I might need some convincing on that front. Anyway, that's all. So bye for now.